right, to some other trending news tonight. Shoppers in Ontario could soon be hit with new fees on pop and juice starting next month. The provincial government says the goal of these changes to the recycling program is to have big corporations pay a tax for the cans and bottles they produce. But that's not to say that that cost won't eventually trickle down to the consumer. Producers will have discretion to charge shoppers the few extra cents, and it could soon show up on your receipt when you buy pop, juice, or bottled water. But will this new tax make any environmental difference when it comes to recycling? Joining us now to talk about this is the Associate Director of Sustainability at Humber College, Lindsay Walker. Lindsay, do you think if this tax trickles down to consumers that it will deter people from buying some of these beverages?
I don't really think so. Not that I'm a fan of it, but if you're going to have a drink of Coke and that's what you want and it costs 1 to 3 cents more, I do think folks will still buy that Coke.
How many plastic bottles are wasted each year in Ontario? And do you think this tax will help divert bottles from our landfills?
It's approximately 1.7 billion plastic bottles in Ontario per year. That's a lot, obviously. Compared to the population, that's 1 to 2 bottles per person, but we know that's probably like 100 for one and maybe none for another. Putting a tax on it in this way without any kind of other functionality won't work. People will keep buying it and it will go along into the system that is already existing. It will go into the blue bin. We're only actually recycling about 11% or so in Ontario of what gets put in the blue bin. So even if 100% of the things that go in there are recyclable, we know in Ontario it's more like 10% that gets recycled. So I don't see that changing. It's just a different group of people that are, instead of the municipalities, it's going to be the producers that are managing the program. If food has touched these containers or you haven't rinsed them out after you drank the item, it can't be recycled. It's basically the simple way to think about it is if there's 2 types of materials, food and plastic and paper combined, if there are 2 or more things, it can't be recycled in the systems that we have in Ontario. It's very, very hard to separate those things.
So do you think this new tax will have any sort of environmental benefit?
I don't think it's a waste of time. I think that the transition in the background of it not being on municipalities and it being a producer pay program. So the fact that the cost is supposed to be going to the producers makes them feel it a little bit on how much this impacts. There's a cost to impacting the environment with plastics. And hopefully that provides an impetus for them to change the types of materials they use or make the system more effective. However, if they're just going to make the items more expensive and the consumer purchases them, I'm not sure that it will work in the way we're hoping.
The beer store has been tremendously successful at getting their bottles back by charging customers a fee. Could there be some sort of thing like that for pop cans or juice bottles?
I really think that that's a very good option. I think we should be looking at that. Absolutely. It's such a great success with the beer store. And actually at Humber College in the last 2 years, we've instituted something very similar for single-use containers for our food. And we have a return rate of over 90%. So students and faculty and staff are buying their meal for, say, $10, and they're paying a 50-cent deposit, and they scan the bottom of the container after they're done and put it in our bins, and we collect them, and they get that exact amount back. 90% of folks are returning the containers. That's a huge success, and we know it works at the beer store. So, and other provinces are doing it this way. So, I mean, I definitely think we should be exploring that.
Thanks so much for joining us, Lindsay.
Thanks for having me.